Hey, here we are, Steel Studio, week 3. Very excited about the game coming up on a short week here. I think I got a little wing sauce on my lips here. Rough day, long day, short week, so we're ready to go. Didn't do a video about the loss, but I'll do some talk about some things here about it and tomorrow. But first, let's just get to this week and let's start off with the injury report. And it looks like Minka was out today with some cramps. That's not a big deal. It was actually yesterday. Oh, no, it was today. And Devin Bush was full. So I think we're good. I think everybody's ready to go except TJ, of course. Wish he was there, but he's not. And the Browns had quite a few guys that were limited, but they say they're going to play, I believe. And Jadeveon Clowney is out. And that's good. And Batonio practiced. He was limited, though, as was Harrison Bryant. Conklin, I think, is going to play for once. And Myles Garrett has his neck injury. Chris Hubbard and Isaiah Thomas. But I think those guys are all going to play except for Clowney. And we'll have to ask our insider, Chad, about that. So let's get Chad on the phone, NFL Insider, and get his thoughts on the Steelers and the game. Chad, are you there?
I'm here, Rick. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
So NFL Week 2 was crazy, just like NFL Week 1 was. What do you think of the Steelers? What's the deal with the offense? I know we only lost. We had a muff punt, and that had a lot to do with our loss, but a lot of people in Pittsburgh not happy with Mitch and with Canada. And is it Mitch? Is it Canada? Is it a little of both? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's both. You look at a coordinator like Matt Canada, everywhere he's been, he's had a lot of weapons, and he's really found ways to do the very least humanly possible with those weapons. But I think it's safe to say at this point, we really got to question, is Mitchell Trubisky a starting quarterback in the NFL? I don't think he is. I think you're really going to struggle to find a better scenario for him to be in than in Pittsburgh. He's just not taking advantage of it. I think it might be time after this week, barring something unexpected, to really take a look at, should he be your starting quarterback going forward?
The thing, though, that bothers me is in camp and in preseason, he didn't play like this. He found open men. He looked around. He didn't just lock on one guy like he did the last couple games. And it's disappointing. He even took some sacks, ran out of bounds, took a sack when he could have just thrown it away. It's like he's trying so hard not to make a mistake. Maybe it's because Pickett's looking over his shoulder. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm hopeful he'll have a good game this week. I really don't want to put Kenny in there yet, but the pressure is certainly building on Tomlin. But I don't know if the Steelers will do that. It's uncharted territory for us right now.
Yeah, it's not the Steelers' way for sure. So I think he'll get every opportunity to keep the job. But I think anytime you have a first-round quarterback sitting there, it's tough no matter who you are. But, I mean, he's playing like the player that he's always been. So I think if I was Kenny, I'd be very ready and put in those extra reps and letting Tomlin and the staff see that he's ready to kind of take the reins and take over.
Do you think Kenny will be any better, though, as a rookie? Don't you think he'll struggle as well?
I think I'll rephrase the question. Can he be any worse? I mean, at least with Kenny Pickett, you're looking at the future and he can get reps. With Mitch Trubisky, I don't know what you're building towards. I don't know that he really has that next level that is going to make you that Super Bowl winning team, where at least with Kenny Pickett, you see that. And there's a possibility and the potential there.
You know, it's funny because one of my buddies is a big Browns fan. We talk almost every day, or Steelers fan, I should say. His evaluation of Mitch is he looks like a backup. Man, he'd be a great backup. So we'll see what happens. It's early, but we can't get with our schedule, which sucks. It's so hard. We can't screw around. Next thing you know, it'll be 1-6, man, and it's over then. But it's going to be interesting. Let's talk about the Browns. How are the Browns coming into this year? How do you feel about them, and how do you think they've upgraded their team, or do you think they have?
I don't think the team as built today, I don't see it as an upgrade. I mean, obviously, the elephant in the room, Deshaun Watson, 11-game suspension. When he's back, it's a clear upgrade. But right now, Jacoby Brissett behind center, it's not a true upgrade. I think they're really trying to go 5-6, 6-5, and kind of stem the tide until Watson comes back and then really make that playoff push. But it's a team in shambles. I mean, they got booed off the field at home last week, so I think it's really a gut check. My sources tell me there was a players-only meeting where Grant Delpit, of all people, was pointing fingers. I'm not sure how you play much worse than Grant Delpit did last week. I don't know who he has to be upset about, but he was very vocal in that meeting from what I hear. And this is an opportunity for them to really show up and show out, and the pressure is going to be on them. So we'll see.
I feel like they just don't know how to win. The team doesn't know how to keep going and win. I don't know. It seems like there's just the culture still not there as a winning organization. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. I think there's a head coach in Stefanski who, by all accounts, is very non-confrontational, and I think he's got a lot of egos on that team and wants to be everybody's friend instead of putting people in a position to succeed and holding them accountable. There's just not a lot of accountability around that team, really, since he's been there.
Obviously, the offensively for the Browns, it goes through Chubb and Hunt, and that's what they like to do. And it's not easy to stop. It's the best 1-2 duo in the league, and as you see there, they just run really good zone scheme and plug and play, and just really good pin and pull, I guess you call it. I was watching some videos on their how they're blocking schemes, and they really got it going on there. You think that I know the Steelers usually do play well against that. For some reason, they're able to stop the run there. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think you got to put 8 guys in the box, and you got to make Jacoby Brissett beat you. Jacoby had a really good game last week. He played very, very well. Amari Cooper showed up for the first time, but I don't know that against a team with the talent that the Steelers have, I just don't see Jacoby Brissett consistently beating them. And you just can't let their 2 best players do that. Now, Jack Conklin being back for the first time, he is going to play. From everything that I hear, it's going to change a little bit on the offensive line, make them a little bit better. But I still think 8 guys in the box is the play, and just make Jacoby beat you and be patient. He's going to hit a couple of throws, but you got to stick with it.
And I think he could be a little rusty too, Conklin.
Definitely. I mean, he hasn't played in a very long time, and with his history, if he gets injured the first play, I wouldn't shock me either. He's hurt quite a lot, so we'll see what he's able to produce. But it's still an upgrade over what was there. So,
yeah, I do worry without Watt. It's if we can get pressure, and that's and when you have a running game, it's a lot easier on a quarterback. Mitch had a running game; it'd probably be easier for him too. So,
completely agree. I think. Just plug the holes, though. Plug the holes, set the edge, and just make it really tough mud and tough sledding for Hunt and Chubb.
So, other than that, the receivers, Cooper, and who else do they really go to? He's the main man, him and Njoku, right? If you shut them down, you pretty much got it, right?
I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones had a big game. I think he had 6 catches week 1, and then was completely non-existent week 2. Anthony Schwartz runs around a lot, and I think if you talk to people in Cleveland, nobody really knows what he does outside of that, but I mean, they let him run around a lot. Got a rookie, David Bell, who is kind of Jarvis Landry light possession guy. He got some run a little bit last week. He might get a little bit of an upgraded role this week, but really stop Cooper. For whatever reason, Njoku's been more of a blocking tight end. $14 million a year to block. I don't know what Stefanski's thought process is there, but he's a very expensive blocking tight end, but that's really what he's been doing.
I feel like the Browns were pretty close, and they just made the wrong moves. I think they could have a few more players here and there, and they really could have been a contender with that line. And I don't know, interesting, very interesting to me.
I agree. I mean, moves for the sake of making moves and not really moves for culture and fit, in my perspective.
Now, defensively, with the injuries they have, I think this is if the Steelers can't run this week, they're probably not going to be able to run on anybody. I think they should be able to run on them a little bit. And our offensive line has seemed improved. We'll see. But they seem to be getting a little better than people expected. They're not great, but they're playing average. Do you think we should be able to run on them?
I think so. I think, with Clowney being out, it's going to open up an opportunity on his side. And then Myles Garrett is just not at all interested nor committed in stopping the run. He has one thought process, and that's getting to the quarterback. So if you get Najee outside on the edges, play the game on the edges, they should be able to run the ball and run the ball a lot. I'd look for them to be really committed to that early, and then try to pop something over the top with play action off of that.
I just feel like Najee is better than we've seen. I don't know. I'm a little disappointed this year so far. I know he hasn't been 100% healthy, but I feel like he's about ready to have a big game. He's just too good not to.
I think so. I was talking to a source in Alabama yesterday, and the ankle is just not good. The amount of work that he's having to put in just to get on the field is hours and hours of work. So he's really being a warrior and getting out there and playing, but not playing up to his standard. He knows that. He'd be the first to say that. But I mean, this is a prime team where he could go out there and put on a show. I want to see him get him in the passing game. I think that's number one most important. I think he had 5 receptions last week, but establish him early in the passing game and let him go to work with the run. I think when he catches the ball, he just got a different vibe, a different feel about him. They need to start with that and then get to the run game.
Do you think the Steelers need to pass to run up to open it up, get guys off the line? Maybe start off and show they can throw deep right away. Maybe
I think there's
15 yards would be good.
I said it last week to you, I believe, but I think there should be at least 3 to 5 deep shots in this game, even if you don't complete them, just to get those safeties back a little bit. Show them that you're willing to do that. I think that's Canada's biggest flaw is he's not even showing a willingness to go deep. You get George Pickens sitting there, prototypical deep ball wide receiver, and you're not even targeting him. You don't have to be complete with that, but just give it a shot.
What about Freiermuth? I think he could have a big game as well.
He could. The knock on the Browns linebackers is they really don't do well covering the tight end. Anthony Walker really struggled with that the first 2 weeks, so I think he could be a huge factor in this game.
And then how about the Browns secondary? There were some questions last week on some blown coverages at the end of the game. And is the secondary play well as a whole, or just at the end of the games? What's going on with their secondary right now?
So that's the $1 million question. I mean, a lot of the zone concepts that Joe Woods wants to run kind of is contradictory to the strengths of his corners. Denzel Ward is a press man corner, and they have him playing zone quite frequently. And the biggest thing with the Browns is a lot of these guys don't practice. They're sitting out of practice multiple times a week, and communication just isn't there for the zone. So they're not comfortable in it. There's really not a pass rush. Myles Garrett's really the only one that's getting close to the quarterback. The Browns really don't value the defensive tackle position at all. The quarterback's got all day. It's really picking apart that secondary.
How healthy is Myles Garrett? Is that neck bad or?
To quote the great Herb Brooks, the neck is very far from the heart, and I think it's a heart issue with Myles Garrett.
Jeez.
I don't know how much he really wants to play football. I think he wants to sack the quarterback and doesn't really care about anything else.
Wow, that's a big statement. So he's so talented too. I feel like both these teams, if they, if the Steelers can get a lead early, then that's going to build their confidence. And I think either team gets down early, they're going to be looking at each other and questioning each other early in the season. It's crazy, but I feel like that's how this game could go. The Steelers can get a lead, make you guys throw to catch up. I think we'll win. But if we can't and we struggle offensively again and you guys get a lead, we could be in trouble. So it's going to be that's going to be the tail of the tape there.
I think it's interesting. I think the first quarter for the Browns is ultra important. I think if they get behind in the first quarter, there's going to be a lot of finger pointing. They're going to come out like a house on fire, given the players only meeting. They're going to want to make a statement. But at the same time, even if the Browns do have a lead in the fourth quarter, the ghosts are there. They're going to be thinking about Carolina. They're going to be thinking about the Jets, and they're going to press to make sure that doesn't happen again. So the Steelers need to stay patient, stick to their game plan, and not turn it over. I think that's going to be critical for Mitch. No mistakes, no fumbles, no interceptions. That's going to be big.
And it's a homecoming for Mitch. No one's talking about that. He's from Ohio, from the area, so I'm sure he wants to play well. And it's nationally televised, so let's hope so. But it is week 3. The AFC's not, there's some teams that people shoot in as playoff teams that may not be. Look at Denver is struggling. Colts are struggling. They look awful. Cincinnati's 0-2. They can't block. It's if both these teams can make the playoffs, if we just stay around 500 and win a couple at the end of the year, it's crazy. Crazy. You never know how it's going to be.
Completely agree. This is a game you got to have, but definitely not a must win.
Right. Yeah. And people that are saying that week 3, I think for either team are crazy. I mean,
Too early.
It's too early. But I'm glad it's early. I don't like the Thursday night. You got the Browns are. I call you guys because you're covering the Browns here. But 4-0 in the last 4 years on Thursday night, and this is the 5th year in a row you've been home on Thursday night. So, and one of those was against us when we had Mason. So I don't know if that's a real stat, but we don't do very well on Thursdays. Last 3 years we've lost. So we'll see what happens. It's gonna be interesting. Tomorrow night in Cleveland. At least the weather's going to be decent, a little cooler, so good for that.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Definitely looking forward to it. Hoping for some good football.
And I know you're a Yankee fan. Did he get his home? Did he tie the home run tonight or no? I didn't see.
No, he's got 2 hits tonight, but he is not hit 61 yet. Close once, but not yet.
Awesome, man. He's good. He's good. So hey, we appreciate your time, and we'll get together next week and preview the next game. And what's your prediction for tomorrow night?
I'm going 20-14 Steelers. I think they get a 4th quarter touchdown to put it away.
You said that last week, and you jinxed us, man.
I was never more certain about a prediction than I was last week. I was surprised by that one. That one threw me a little bit.
Yeah, I was too. But I think New England has our number. They're always ready. I think they're going to be better than people think. Not great, but they'll be in the mix. And Belichick, he knows if he finds a weakness, he's gonna hit it, and he did.
Yes, he did.
Very concerned how we couldn't stop the run in the 4th quarter. That's the only thing I worry about, that happening again. If we can't stop the run against you guys, man. Of course, the other 2 teams didn't, and you still lost. So maybe let's get lucky. So I appreciate your time, Chad, and have a good week.
You too, Rick. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. So we appreciate Chad from the NFL, and please join us on Facebook. Please subscribe, getting some subs here. Appreciate it. And let's get a win tomorrow night so we don't have to have this controversy. I'm not panicking over this team. I think we still need to give Mitch a chance. I've seen what he can do in practice. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen him in camp. You saw him in the preseason. The guy can do it. It's just in his head or something. He's got a good arm. He can throw deep. He can run. He can play better than this. So I'm hopeful that he'll turn it around and have a big game, and we'll have a nice win tomorrow and put the Clowns, where they belong, in last place. That's all I got. So go Steelers. Let's get it this week, guys. Let's go.